Oh my God.
The message came at 3:47 a.m. Hadassah stared at the phone screen, her hands trembling so badly she nearly dropped it. For months, 123 days of believing Jinwoo was dead, of carrying his child alone, of waking up screaming from
Oh my
nightmares where she
God.
watched him bleed out over and over again. And now this. He's alive. Just 2 words, but they shattered everything she thought she knew. Her other hand went to her swollen belly, 24 weeks now, the baby active and strong inside her. Jinwoo's child. The child he'd known about for mere hours before 3 bullets had stolen him away. Except apparently they hadn't. The phone buzzed again. A second message from Kangdi. "I'm outside, we need to talk now." Hadassah pulled on a robe over her nightgown and made her way to the door of the small Busan apartment where she'd been hiding. Through the peephole, she could see Kangdi's familiar stern face, but something was different about him. He looked older, harder, like the last 4 months had carved new lines into his features. She opened the door. "Is it true?" Her voice came out as barely a whisper. "It's true." Kangdi stepped inside, his eyes immediately going to her pregnant belly. "Boss is alive. He's been in a medically induced coma for the last 3.5 months. He woke up 4 days ago." 4 days. He'd been awake for 4 days and she was only finding out now. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" Kangdi's jaw tightened. "Because I needed to make sure he was stable, and because," he stopped, choosing his words carefully, "there are complications." Hadassah sank onto the couch, her legs suddenly unable to support her. "What kind of complications?" "The bullets did damage, not just physical." Kangdi remained standing, his posture military straight. "He remembers some things, his name, his profession, how to fight. But the last few months," he met her eyes. "He doesn't remember you, Mrs. Park." The words landed like a punch to the gut. Hadassah's hand went to her belly automatically, seeking comfort in the baby's movements. "He doesn't remember marrying me." "No." "Doesn't remember falling in love." "No." "Doesn't remember," her voice broke, "doesn't remember the baby." "He knows the facts. I told him everything. Showed him photos, played recordings, gave him the evidence of what you were to him." Kangdi pulled out a tablet, showed her surveillance footage. A medical room. Jinwoo sitting on the edge of a bed, holding a photograph, their wedding photo, and staring at it like it was written in a language he couldn't read. But knowing and remembering are different things. Hadassah watched the footage. Watched Jinwoo's scarred fingers trace her face in the photograph. Watched him set it down, pick it up again, as if repetition might make the memories return. "Why are you showing me this?" she asked quietly. "Because I need you to understand what you're walking into if you agree to see him." Kangdi sat down across from her. "Boss doesn't remember loving you, but when I showed him your photo, something changed. He stared at it for 10 minutes, then asked me why looking at you made his chest feel like it was being ripped open. He doesn't understand what he's feeling. Doesn't have context for it, but he feels something." "That's not enough." "Maybe not, but it's more than we had yesterday." Kangdi leaned forward. "Mrs. Park, there's something else. Something you need to know before you decide whether to see him." The way he said it made ice form in Hadassah's veins. "What?" "I've spent the last 4 months investigating the warehouse attack, how the serpents knew we'd be there, how they knew about Boss's son, how they managed to set the perfect trap." Kangdi's expression was grim. "I found the source of the leak." "The traitor." "Yes." He pulled up files on the tablet, bank records, communication logs, a timeline of carefully orchestrated betrayal stretching back 6 months. "I know who sold us out, who fed information to the Jade Serpents, who orchestrated the entire attack that nearly killed Boss." Hadassah looked at the evidence, her mind trying to make sense of the data. "Who?" Kangdi's jaw clenched. "Park Yi-sung, Boss's son." The name hung in the air like poison. Hadassah remembered that night in the warehouse. The young man bound in the corner, terror written across his face. Jinwoo's son, the one he'd been trying to save. "That's impossible," she said. "He was captured, he was a hostage." "He was bait." Kangdi scrolled through more documents. "Look at the financial records. Payments from Yi Sung's accounts to known Jade Serpent operatives starting 6 months ago. Communication logs showing him coordinating with T-Min. Intelligence he provided about Boss's operations, his safe houses, his security protocols." Hadaza felt sick. Why would he do this? Because he blames Boss for his mother's death. Because Boss sent him away after she died and never fought to keep him. Because, Kangdi's voice dropped. Because hatred is easier than grief when you're 14 years old and the only parent you have left becomes a stranger. Does Jinwoo know? Not yet, I haven't told him. Kangdi closed the tablet. I wanted to talk to you first because there's more. How can there be more? Yi Sung knows you're pregnant. The ice in Hadaza's veins turned to liquid nitrogen. Her hand went protectively to her belly. How? He had someone inside our organization, a doctor who saw you at your appointment 3 days before the warehouse. Kangdi's expression was carved from stone. I've eliminated the leak, but the damage is done. Yi Sung knows about the baby, and he's been in contact with Kim Yi-won. Who's that? T-Min's elder brother. He took over the Jade Serpents after T-Min died in the warehouse. Kangdi stood, began packing. Yi-won is smarter than his younger brother, more patient, more dangerous, and according to the intelligence I've gathered, he and Yi Sung have been in communication for the last 3 months. Planning what? Revenge. Kangdi stopped packing, faced her directly. Yi Sung has been waiting for Boss to wake up. He wants him conscious, aware. He wants Boss to know what's being taken from him. And he wants, Kangdi's voice went flat, he wants to take your baby. Hadaza stood abruptly, her protective instincts flaring. Then I need to disappear, leave Korea, take the baby somewhere he can't find us. He'll find you, men like that always do. Kangdi moved to the window, looked out at the Busan skyline. Which is why I'm giving you a choice. You can run and spend the rest of your life looking over your shoulder, or you can come with me to see Boss and we end this threat permanently. How? By using you as bait. The words should have terrified her. Instead, Hadaza felt something cold and hard settle in her chest. Explain. Yi Sung wants to hurt Boss by taking you, taking the baby. He's been tracking me for months, waiting for the right moment. But what if we give him that moment? What if we control the location, the timing, the security? What if we let him make his move and then we end him? You're talking about a trap. I'm talking about finishing the war your husband started. Kangdi turned back to her. In 3 months, you'll give birth. We can control where, when, and how. We can set up a perfect kill box. And when Yi Sung comes for you and the baby, we end both him and Yi-won in one move. Using my newborn as bait, Hadaza said flatly. Using the promise of your newborn as bait. I won't let anything happen to either of you. But this is the only way to draw them all out at once. The only way to guarantee your child grows up safe instead of hunted. Hadaza looked down at her belly, at the life growing inside her. Jinwoo's daughter. She'd felt certain from the first flutter that it was a girl. What does Jinwoo think about this plan? I haven't told him yet. I wanted your answer first. Kangdi's voice softened fractionally. Mrs. Park, I know this is asking a lot, but if you run, they'll find you eventually. And when they do, Boss won't be there to protect you. This way we control the battlefield. This way we win. Hadaza was quiet for a long moment, her hand resting on her belly, feeling the baby kick against her palm. Take me to him, she finally said. Take me to Jinwoo. Kangdi led her through security checkpoints, each one more thorough than the last. Her pregnant belly drew looks from the guards, but no one questioned her. Finally, they reached a private room at the end of a long corridor. He's inside, Kangdi said. I'll be right outside if you need anything. Hadiz's hand went to the door handle, then stopped. Does he know I'm coming? Yes, I told him his wife was here to see him. Kangdi's expression softened almost imperceptibly. He asked what your name was. The pain of that cut deeper than any bullet could. Hadiza pushed open the door. Jinwoo stood by the window, back to her. He'd filled out since the warehouse. The medical team had clearly been feeding him well, rebuilding the muscle mass he'd lost during the coma. His shoulders were broad under the simple black shirt, his posture that of a predator at rest. When he turned, Hadiza's breath caught. He looked the same. The silver-streaked black hair, the sharp angular features, the scars on his neck from old wounds. But his eyes, those dark, intense eyes that had looked at her with love and hunger and desperate need, now looked at her like she was a stranger. "You're the woman," he said, not a question, a statement of fact. "I'm Hadiza," her voice came out steadier than she felt, "your wife." "So they tell me." Jinwoo's gaze dropped to her belly and something flickered across his face, surprise, maybe wonder, maybe nothing at all. "And that's my child." "Yes." He stared at her stomach for a long moment, his expression unreadable. Then his eyes came back to her face, searching it like he was trying to solve a puzzle. "I don't remember you," he said quietly. "Kangdi showed me photos, videos, recordings of us together. I know the facts. We married 10 weeks ago to protect you from my enemies. We fell in love. You're carrying my child. But when I look at you, I feel." He stopped, his jaw clenching. "You feel what?" Hadiza asked. "Like something inside me is breaking. Like I'm supposed to know you, supposed to understand why looking at you makes my chest hurt. But I don't." His hands curled into fists at his sides. "I don't remember loving you. Don't remember what it felt like to be the man in those videos. All I have is this." He gestured vaguely at his chest. "This feeling that won't go away." Hadiza moved closer, slowly, giving him space to retreat if he needed it. "What does it feel like?" "Like you matter. Like keeping you safe is the only thing that matters." Jinwoo's eyes tracked her movement. "Like I'd kill anyone who tried to hurt you, and I don't even know why." "That's love," Hadiza said softly, "or the echo of it, the part of you that remembers even when your mind doesn't. That's not enough. You deserve someone who remembers choosing you, who knows why they love you." Jinwoo's voice was rough with frustration. "I can't give you that. All I can give you is protection, safety, the knowledge that nothing will touch you or our child while I'm breathing. Right now, that's exactly what I need." Hadiza stopped a few feet away from him. "I don't need you to remember, Jinwoo. I just need you alive. The rest, the love, the memories, we can rebuild that, if you're willing." "Why would you want to? You could leave, take the baby and disappear, live a normal life away from all of this." "Because there's no normal life for me anymore. Because your enemies already know about me, about the baby. Because," Hadiza's hand went to her belly, "because this child deserves to know her father, and I remember loving you enough for both of us right now." Jinwoo was silent, his dark eyes studying her with an intensity that made her skin prickle. Finally, he spoke. "Show me." "Show you what?" "Why I loved you. What made me choose you over the life I'd lived for 40 years. He gestured to the small table by the window where a tablet sat. "Kangdi gave me the evidence, but evidence isn't memory. Show me what he can't." So Hadiza did. She pulled out her phone, scrolled to a video she'd secretly recorded one night in the penthouse. Jinwoo at the piano she hadn't even known he could play, his scarred fingers moving over the keys with surprising gentleness. The song was melancholy, beautiful, and when it ended, he'd looked up and seen her watching. "You play?" she'd asked in the video. "I did once, before I became this." His younger self had gestured at the expensive suit, the cold penthouse, the life built on violence. "Play something else," Video Hadiza had said. And he had, something slow and haunting that had made her cry without understanding why. Jinwoo watched the video in silence. When it ended, he looked shaken. "I don't remember this." "I know." Hadaza scrolled to another video, this one from the shooting range. Jinwoo standing behind her, his hands guiding hers on the gun, his voice patient in her ear. And when she'd finally hit the target, the pride in his smile had been genuine. She showed him photos, the two of them on the penthouse balcony at night, soul glittering below. Him asleep on the couch, a book open on his chest. He'd been reading about pregnancy and childbirth. Her hand on her barely their belly at 12 weeks, his hand covering hers. Each piece of evidence that they'd been real, that what they'd had mattered. When she ran out of videos and photos, Jinwoo sat in silence for a long moment. "I look happy," he finally said. "In those pictures with you, I look," he struggled for the word, "human, like I'm more than just what I do, what I've done." "You were human with me," Hadaza said. "You told me about your nightmares, your guilt, your fears. You let me see the man underneath the monster. And now I'm a stranger to you." "No." Hadaza took his hand before she could second-guess herself. He tensed but didn't pull away. She pressed his palm against her belly where their baby was moving. "You're the father of my child. You're the man who died protecting me. You're my husband. Even if you don't remember loving me, I remember loving you. And that's enough to start with." Jinwoo's hand spread across her belly, his expression transforming as the baby kicked against his palm. "It's moving." "She does that a lot now." Hadaza kept her hand over his, anchoring him to this moment. "Especially when I'm scared, it's like she knows." "I don't know for sure, but I have a feeling." Hadaza looked up at him. "You kept saying her too, before the warehouse, like you knew." Jinwoo's other hand came up, hesitant, to cup her face. His thumb brushed across her cheekbone, and Hadaza saw confusion war with something deeper in his eyes. "Why do I want to kiss you?" he asked, voice raw. "Why does touching you feel like coming home when I don't even remember what home feels like?" "Because some things run deeper than memory." Hadaza leaned into his touch. "Your body remembers even if your mind doesn't." They stood like that for a long moment, his hand on her belly, hers covering his, their faces inches apart. The baby kicked again, and Jinwoo's expression softened into something almost tender. Then the door burst open. Kangdi stood there, his phone in hand, face grim. "Boss, we have a situation." Jinwoo's entire demeanor shifted in an instant. The gentle man touching his pregnant wife vanished, replaced by the cold, lethal crime boss. "What?" "Message from an unknown number." Kangdi held up the phone so they could see. The message was simple, devastating. "Hello, father, I hear you're awake. Good. I want you conscious when I take everything away. Enjoy these last few months with your new family. They won't last long. J." Jinwoo's expression went from cold to glacial. "Who sent this?" Kangdi's jaw tightened. "Boss, we need to talk about your son." And Hadaza watched as Jinwoo's world, already fractured by memory loss, began to crack even further. "Explain," Jinwoo said, his voice dangerously quiet. They'd moved to a secure conference room, the three of them seated around a table covered in documents and tablets. Hadaza sat with her hands protectively over her belly, watching Jinwoo's face as Kangdi laid out the evidence. Financial records showing payments from Park Yi-sung to known Jade Serpent operatives. Communication logs. A timeline of betrayal stretching back 6 months. Jinwoo absorbed it all in silence, his expression unreadable. When Kangdi finished, the silence stretched. "You're telling me," Jinwoo finally said, each word carefully controlled, "that my own son has been orchestrating attacks against me for 6 months. That the warehouse ambush, the one that nearly killed me, was his doing. That he's working with the Jade Serpents to destroy everything I've built." "Yes, boss." "And his evidence for this is, what? That I failed him after his mother died. He blames you for her death and for sending him away." Kangdi pulled up more files. "But there's more. He knows about Mrs. Park, knows she's pregnant. He's been tracking me for months, waiting for the right moment to strike." Jinwoo looked at Hadaza, and she saw something dangerous flicker in his eyes. He wants to hurt me by hurting you. Yes. Then I'll kill him. Matter of fact, cold. Son or not, if he threatens my family, I'll end him. Boss. I don't care that he's my blood. I don't care what I did to make him hate me. Jinwoo's hands flattened on the table. He chose this. He allied with my enemies. He put a target on the back of my pregnant wife. He dies. Hadaza had expected to feel horror at those words. Instead, she felt a fierce surge of something that might have been relief. This was the man she'd married, brutal when necessary, protective to the point of murder. There's another option, Kangdi said carefully. We use the pregnancy as bait. We set a trap, draw him and Yi-won out together and end both threats at once. Using my wife and child as bait, Jinwoo said flatly. Under controlled conditions, with full security, at a location we choose. Kangdi looked at Hadaza. Mrs. Park has already agreed. Jinwoo's eyes snapped to her. What? If we run forever, Hadaza said quietly. Your son won't stop. The jade serpents won't stop. I don't want to raise our daughter always looking over my shoulder, always afraid. I want her safe, really safe. And if that means being bait for a few hours, I'll do it. Absolutely not. It's not your decision. You're my wife, my pregnant wife. I don't care if I don't remember marrying you. I'm not using you as bait. Then what do you suggest? Hadaza leaned forward. Because Kangdi is right. If we run, they find us eventually. If we hide, we're just delaying the inevitable. This way, we control when, where, and how it ends. Jinwoo stood abruptly, began packing like a caged predator. There has to be another way. There isn't, boss, Kangdi said. I've been working on this for months. Every other option leaves you vulnerable. This is the only scenario where we have the advantage. The advantage. Jinwoo's laugh was bitter. The advantage of putting my pregnant wife in the crosshairs of men who want her dead. The advantage of ending the war on our terms. Kangdi stood as well. Boss, I know you don't remember loving her, but you're feeling it now, that need to protect her, to keep her safe. That's real. Use it. Channel it. And let's finish this so she and the baby can actually have a life. Jinwoo stopped packing, his eyes on Hadaza. She met his gaze steadily, letting him see her resolve. 3 months, he finally said. You have 3 months to plan this. Every detail, every contingency, every possible thing that could go wrong. And if at any point I think the risk is too high, we abort and I kill Yi-sung and Yi-won myself. Understood. And Hadaza, Jinwoo moved to her, knelt beside her chair so they were eye level. If anything happens to you, if anything happens to our child, I will burn soul to the ground. Do you understand me? I understand. Good, he stood, his hand briefly touching her shoulder, awkward but trying. Then we have 3 months to prepare for war. As he walked out, Hadaza touched the spot where his hand had been, feeling the echo of warmth. He didn't remember loving her. But he was learning. And for now, that would have to be enough. Somewhere across Seoul, in a luxury apartment paid for with blood money, Park Yi-sung stared at the photograph on his phone. His father's new wife, Nigerian, beautiful, 20 years old with her whole life ahead of her. And pregnant. 6 months along now. The baby would come in February, his father's second chance at fatherhood, the family his father had denied him. Yi-sung's hand tightened on the phone until the screen cracked. 28 years. That's how long he'd waited for this. 28 years of watching from the shadows as his father built an empire on the bones of everyone who crossed him. 28 years of remembering his mother's funeral, his father's cold face, the way Jinwoo had sent him away like a problem to be solved. And now Jinwoo got to start over, got to be a father again. Got to pretend the first family, the one he'd failed, never mattered. The phone buzzed. A message from Kim Yi-won. The plan is set. When the woman goes into labor, we move, everyone in place. Yi-sung typed back. How do you know she'll use the clinic? Because your father is predictable. He'll use the same facility he recovered in, the same one you were treated in as a child. He doesn't remember, but his people do, and they trust it. A smile crossed Yi Sung's face. Ironic that the clinic he'd been brought to after his first beating by his father's enemies would be the place where he took his revenge. He pulled up another photo, this one old, faded. A family portrait from 29 years ago. His mother, young and beautiful, holding baby Yi Sung. His father, younger but already hard, standing behind them with his hand on his wife's shoulder. They looked happy. Before his father's enemies had planted a car bomb, before his mother had burned alive, before everything had turned to ash. "I'll make him feel it," Yi Sung whispered to his mother's photo. "I'll make him lose everything like we lost everything. I promise." His phone buzzed again. This time, an attachment. Surveillance footage of Jinwoo's wife leaving the clinic, her pregnant belly prominent under her coat. So young, so innocent. So very, very doomed. Yi Sung watched the footage loop, memorizing her face. In 3 months, he'd see that face again, see the fear in her eyes, see his father's desperation. And then he'd take it all away. Just like his father had taken everything from him. The rain started again outside, hammering against the windows like bullets, and Park Yi-sung smiled. 2 months passed in careful preparation. Hadaza moved into the clinic permanently at 30 weeks, too pregnant now to be moving around Seoul without significant risk. Jinwoo insisted on being there constantly, sleeping in the chair beside her bed, eating meals with her, his presence a constant protective shadow. He still didn't remember loving her, but he was learning her. Learning that she liked her tea with honey, not sugar, that she got restless at night and needed to walk the halls despite her belly, that she had nightmares sometimes about the warehouse and woke up gasping Jinwoo's name. The first time that happened, he'd been in the chair beside her bed instantly. "I'm here," he'd said, his hand finding hers in the dark. "You're safe." "I dreamed you died again," she'd whispered. "I was holding you and you were bleeding and I couldn't stop it." "I'm alive, I'm right here." His thumb had stroked across her knuckles. "That won't happen again." "You can't promise that." "I can, and I am." He'd moved to sit on the edge of her bed, his free hand going to her belly. "Nothing's going to happen to either of you, I swear it." The baby had kicked against his palm, and something in Jinwoo's expression had softened. "Does she always kick this much at night?" he'd asked. "Usually, I think she's nocturnal like her father." Hadaza had shifted to make room for him on the bed. "Stay, please, just until I fall asleep." He had, and when Hadaza woke in the morning, he was still there, his hands still on her belly, his body curved protectively around hers even in sleep. She didn't wake him, just lay there feeling the warmth of him, the solid reality of his presence, and let herself believe, just for a moment, that they might actually survive this. The messages from Yi-sung came sporadically, but with increasing venom. 32 weeks now, getting close, father. Are you practicing your lullabies, learning how to change diapers, preparing to be the father you never were to me? Jinwoo showed Hadaza each message, his expression carved from ice. He's trying to provoke me, make me sloppy. Is it working? Yes, the admission seemed to cost him. Every message makes me want to hunt him down, end this before it reaches you. That's what he wants. He wants you emotional, making mistakes. I know. Jinwoo's hand found her belly. It had become his anchor point, the place he touched when he needed grounding. But knowing doesn't make it easier. The baby kicked against his palm and he smiled despite himself. That smile, rare, precious, made Hadaza's heart clench. "Talk to me," she said quietly. "Tell me what you're thinking." "I'm thinking that I don't deserve this. A second chance. A family." His eyes met hers. "I'm thinking that Yi-sung is right to hate me. I failed his mother, failed him. And now I'm getting rewarded with you and this baby while he's drowning in 28 years of justified rage. You're not being rewarded. You died and came back. You lost your memory. You're facing your own son trying to kill you. Hadassah took his hand. This isn't a reward. This is survival, and you're allowed to fight for it. Even if it means killing my son. Even then, she held his gaze, because he made his choice. He chose revenge over healing. He chose to hurt an innocent child, our child, to get to you. That's not grief anymore. That's malice. Jinwoo was quiet for a long moment. Then, when this is over, if we survive, I want you to help me remember. Remember what? How to love you. His voice was raw. I see it in the videos, the way I looked at you, like you were everything. I want to feel that again. Not just the need to protect. The actual, he struggled for the word, softness, the humanity, help me find that again. Hadassah's eyes burned with tears. I will, I promise. Good. He leaned forward, pressed his forehead to hers. Not a kiss, but intimacy nonetheless. Because you deserve more than a husband who's just going through the motions. You deserve the man who chose you. I'll take the man who's here now and help him become that man again. They stayed like that for a moment, breathing together, the baby moving between them. And Hadassah let herself hope that maybe, just maybe, they'd get the chance. At 34 weeks, Hadassah went into labor. It started with cramping in the early morning, mild enough that she almost dismissed it. But Jinwoo, hypervigilant to every change in her, noticed immediately. You're in pain. It's nothing, just another cramp hit stronger this time. Okay, maybe not nothing. Jinwoo was on his feet instantly, hitting the call button for the medical staff. How far apart? I don't know, 5 minutes 10. We need to check, now. He helped her sit up, his hands gentle despite the urgency in his voice. The doctor arrived within minutes, examined Hadassah quickly. You're in labor. Early, but not dangerously so. 34 weeks is premature but viable. How long? Jinwoo demanded. Could be hours, could be a full day. First bobbies are unpredictable. The doctor began setting up equipment. We'll monitor closely. Jinwoo pulled out his phone, texted Kangdi. It's happening. Lock down the facility. Everyone in position. The response was immediate. Understood. Security teams deploying now. Within 30 minutes, the clinic was a fortress. Jinwoo's men at every entrance. Snipers on nearby rooftops. Kangdi coordinating from a command center on the ground floor. And in the delivery room on the 3rd floor, Hadassah labored while Jinwoo held her hand. You're doing well, he murmured during a contraction. Strong, just breathe. This hurts more than I expected, she gasped. I know, but you survived a warehouse shootout while pregnant. You can survive this. She almost laughed. Almost. Then another contraction hit, and all she could do was breathe through it, gripping Jinwoo's hand hard enough that his knuckles went white. He didn't complain, just stayed beside her, murmuring encouragement that was probably inadequate but was all he had. Hours passed. The contractions intensified. The doctor monitored everything, his expression professional but concerned. She's progressing faster than expected, he told Jinwoo quietly. Could be another hour, maybe 2. Jinwoo nodded, his eyes never leaving Hadassah's face. And somewhere in the building, in the ventilation system that ran through every floor, 2 figures crawled through the darkness. Park Yi-sung and Kim Yi-won, moving silently toward the delivery room where Hadassah was bringing new life into the world. Where Jinwoo's future was being born. Where everything would end. The vent grate above the delivery room was secured with 4 screws. Yi-sung had counted them as a child when he'd been brought here after his first real beating. 12 years old, 3 broken ribs, and terrified his father would send him away for being weak enough to get caught by enemies. His father had sent him away anyway, just not for weakness. For safety, Jinwoo had claimed, to give him a normal life. To abandon him, Yi-sung had known even then. Now he lay in that same ventilation shaft, Kim Yi-won beside him, and listened to his father's voice drift up through the grate. "You're doing well, almost there. I can see the head." A woman screamed. Hadaza, his father's new wife, the woman who'd replaced the family Yi-sung had lost. "One more push," the doctor's voice. 3, 2, 1 push. Yi-sung's hand tightened on his gun. Below him, his father's entire world was in that room. The woman he'd married, the child being born, the second chance at the family he'd failed to protect the first time. And Yi-sung was going to take it all away. Yi-won positioned himself above the vent grate, ready to kick it loose. "On my signal." Below, the baby's cry filled the air. Strong, loud, alive. "It's a girl," the doctor said. Yi-sung saw his father's face through the grate, the wonder, the fear, the desperate love. Saw him take the tiny infant from the doctor with hands that had killed dozens, but held his newborn daughter like she was made of glass. "She's perfect," Jinwoo whispered. And Yi-sung felt something crack in his chest. Now Yi-won hissed. He kicked the grate. It fell with a metallic crash. Both men dropped through the opening, guns drawn, landing in the delivery room just as Hadaza held her daughter for the first time. The doctor screamed. Jinwoo moved instantly, placing himself between his family and the threat. Yi-won shot the doctor first, then the two nurses, efficient, professional, cold. Yi-sung's gun was aimed at Jinwoo's chest. "Hello, father." Jinwoo's eyes went from Yi-won to Yi-sung, and Hadaza saw the moment of recognition. Not full memory, but something. "Yi-sung," Jinwoo's voice was carefully controlled. "What are you doing here? Why are you with them?" "You don't remember, do you?" Yi-sung's laugh was broken glass. "Of course you don't. You don't remember sending me away. Don't remember 14 years of silence. Don't remember becoming a stranger. I don't remember a lot of things, but I know you're my son. And I know." Jinwoo's hand moved fractionally toward the gun at his side. "Don't," Yi-won snapped, his weapon trained on Hadaza and the baby. "Or I shoot them first." Jinwoo froze. The baby wailed in Hadaza's arms, newborn and terrified, and Hadaza felt her maternal instincts surge. She clutched her daughter tighter, her body curving protectively around the tiny life she just brought into this violent world. "Please," she said, looking at Yi-sung. "Please don't do this. She's innocent. She's just a baby." "So was I," Yi-sung said, his gun unwavering. "I was innocent when my mother burned alive. I was innocent when my father sent me away, and I had to live with that pain. Why shouldn't he?" Jinwoo's jaw clenched. "Yi-sung, whatever I did to you, I'm sorry. I don't remember the specifics, but I can see the pain in your eyes. I failed you. I admit it. But that baby, your sister, she didn't choose this. Don't punish her for my sins. She's giving you everything I never had. A second chance, a new family, love." Yi-sung's voice cracked. "After what you did to mine. Then take it out on me, shoot me, kill me." Jinwoo took a step forward, hands raised. "But let them go. Let Hadaza take our daughter and walk out of here. You'll have your revenge and they'll have their lives." "Boss, no," Hadaza started. "Quiet," Jinwoo cut her off without looking away from his son. "I mean it, Yi-sung. You want me to suffer, fine. You want me dead, do it. But that baby is innocent, just like you were innocent when your mother died. Don't become the thing you hate." The baby's cries softened to whimpers. Yi-sung's gun wavered. And in that moment, the door burst open. Kangdi stood there, gun raised, covered in blood from the fight outside. "Boss." Yi-won spun, firing. Kangdi dove, returning fire. The delivery room erupted into chaos. Jinwoo moved on pure instinct, grabbing Hadaza and the baby, pushing them behind the bed for cover. Bullets tore through medical equipment, shattered windows, turned the place of new life into a war zone. Kangdi's shot caught Yi-won in the shoulder, spinning him around. But the man was a professional. He fired back even wounded, his bullets precise and lethal. One caught Kangdi in the leg, dropping him. Jinwoo pulled his own weapon and put 3 rounds into Yi-won's chest before the man could fire again. Yi-won fell, dead before he hit the ground. The sudden silence was deafening. Jinwoo turned to where Yi-sung stood, gun still in hand but lowered, staring at his father with an expression caught between rage and something that might have been grief. "It's over, Yi-sung," Jinwoo said quietly. "Yi-won is dead. The Jade Serpents are finished. The war is over. You can walk away from this, start fresh, or you can pull that trigger and become exactly what I am." Yi-sung looked at the gun in his hand, at his father, at the baby in Hada's arms. His sister. The baby he'd planned to kill. The innocent life that didn't deserve to pay for their family's sins. "I wanted you to suffer," Yi-sung whispered. "Wanted you to feel what I felt." "I know." But now Yi-sung's gun hand shook. "Now I just feel empty." "Then don't do this. Don't waste your life on revenge, on hate." Jinwoo took a step closer. "I failed you, Yi-sung, failed your mother. I can't undo that, but I can try to be better, starting now, starting with this family." And his voice caught. "And maybe someday you could be part of it, if you wanted." Yi-sung stared at him, tears tracking down his face. "You really don't remember, do you? Don't remember Mom's funeral? Don't remember sending me away? Don't remember any of it?" "No, but I remember having a son, and I remember," Jinwoo touched his chest where the bullet scars were. "I remember the guilt. Even without the memory, I carry the weight of failing you. It's there. Always." The baby whimpered. Yi-sung looked down at her, tiny, red-faced, perfect. "She looks like Mom," he said softly, "in the old photos." "Then help me not fail her the way I failed you." Jinwoo's voice was raw. "Help me be the father I should have been." Yi-sung's gun lowered completely. He opened his mouth to speak, but nothing came out. Instead, he looked at his father one last time, then at the baby in Hada's arms. Something crossed his face, regret maybe, or forgiveness, or just exhaustion after 28 years of carrying hate. Then he turned and walked toward the door. "Yi-sung," Jinwoo called. His son stopped but didn't turn around. "If you ever want to know her, your sister, if you ever want to try to rebuild what we broke," Jinwoo's voice was thick with emotion, "I'll be here." Yi-sung stood there for a long moment. Then, without a word, he walked out of the delivery room and disappeared into the corridor beyond. Jinwoo sagged against the wall, the adrenaline draining out of him all at once. Hadaza stood, still clutching their daughter, and moved to him. "It's over." "Is it?" Jinwoo looked at her and she saw the devastation in his eyes. "My son just walked away still hating me, still broken, still alive," Hadaza finished. "He chose to walk away instead of pulling the trigger. That's something." "Is it enough?" "It has to be." She shifted the baby in her arms. "Come meet your daughter properly." Jinwoo looked down at the tiny infant, and something in his expression cracked. He reached out with trembling hands, and Hadaza placed the baby in his arms. "She's so small," he whispered. "She's perfect." Hadaza leaned against him, exhausted and relieved and still terrified but alive. They were alive. "What should we name her?" Jinwoo looked down at his daughter, this tiny life that had been born into chaos but somehow survived. "Jae-hee. It means wisdom and brightness." "Jae-hee," Hadaza repeated, testing the name. "I like it." The baby, Jae-hee, opened her eyes, dark, unfocused but definitely looking in their direction. She made a small sound, and Jinwoo's entire face softened with something that looked like love. "Hello, Jae-hee," he murmured. "I'm your father, and I'm going to do better with you than I did with your brother, I swear it." Hadaza watched him rock their daughter, watched the transformation from lethal crime boss to gentle father, and felt tears track down her face. They'd survived. Against all odds, against Jinwoo's own son, against the Jade Serpents and bullets and betrayal, they'd survived. And now they had a chance to build something real. something that might actually last. 3 weeks later, Hadassah sat in the penthouse nursery, nursing Jae-hee as early morning light filtered through the windows. The baby was tiny but healthy, her premature birth not causing any lasting complications. She fed well, slept relatively well, and had already wrapped her father around her miniature finger. Jinwoo appeared in the doorway, watching them with an expression Hadassah was learning to read. Soft, vulnerable, human. "May I?" he asked quietly. Hadassah nodded. When Jae-hee finished nursing, Jinwoo took her, cradling her with the practiced ease of someone who'd spent 3 weeks learning every detail of fatherhood. "She likes you," Hadassah observed. "I'm her father, she's supposed to." But his smile was genuine as Jae-hee gripped his finger with her tiny hand. "Have you heard from him?" Hadassah asked carefully. She didn't need to specify who, they both knew. "No," Jinwoo's expression didn't change. "And I don't expect to. Yi-sung made his choice, he walked away, I have to respect that." "Do you think he'll ever come back?" "I don't know." Jinwoo looked down at Jae-hee. "But if he does, I'll be ready, not with weapons, just," he struggled for the word, "with honesty, with an apology he deserves, with the offer to try again." "And if he doesn't?" "Then I focus on this, on you, on her." Jinwoo's eyes met Hadassah's. "On being the husband and father I should be instead of mourning the son I lost." Hadassah stood, moved to him, wrapped her arms around both him and the baby. Jinwoo leaned into the embrace, and for a moment they were just a family. Broken healing but real. "I'm starting to remember things," Jinwoo said quietly. "Small things, the sound of your laugh, the way you look at me when you think I'm not watching, the night on the balcony when I told you I was falling in love with you." Hadassah's breath caught. "You remember that?" "Pieces of it, the feeling more than the words, but it's there." He looked at her over Jae-hee's head. "And even the parts I don't remember, I can feel them, like the echo of something important." "That's enough." Hadassah pressed a kiss to his jaw. "We'll build the rest. Together." Together. Jae-hee yawned, tiny and perfect, and they both smiled. Somewhere in Seoul, Park Yi-sung stood at his mother's grave, staring at the headstone that marked the end of his childhood. He'd meant to pull the trigger, meant to finish what he'd started. But he'd looked at that baby, his sister, and seen himself, innocent, undeserving of the violence their family tree bore. And he'd walked away. Was still walking away. Maybe he'd keep walking. Maybe he'd find a life somewhere that didn't revolve around hate and revenge and the weight of 28 years of pain. Or maybe, someday, he'd go back, meet his sister properly, try to rebuild what had been broken. But not today. Today, he just whispered goodbye to his mother and turned away from the grave. The rain started again, and Park Yi-sung disappeared into the Seoul morning, carrying his scars but no longer letting them define him. Behind him, his father held a newborn daughter and learned, slowly, painfully, but genuinely, how to love again. And that was enough. For now, it was enough. If this story reached into your chest and wouldn't let go, if you felt every moment of betrayal and redemption and fierce protective love, drop a comment below. Tell me which scene hit you hardest. Was it Yi-sung's choice to walk away? Jinwoo learning to be a father? The delivery room confrontation where everything hung in the balance? And if you're hungry for more stories where love is forged in darkness, where dangerous men learn to be human, where second chances are paid for in blood, hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications. Because here at Echo Taileys Story TV, we don't write fairy tales. We write the kind of love that survives the impossible. And trust me, you won't want to miss what comes next.